All right, you're watching Liquid Lunch on Biz TV. I'm Frank Morano, here with my lovely companion and co-host for the day, Xen Sams. She is a model. She is an actress. She is a philanthropist. She is a bunch of other things, but we only have a 2-hour show. I can't list all of her resume lines. Xen, we've talked about this before, but you are still available to be seen on Apple TV in the Samuel L. Jackson movie, The Banker. Remind folks what The Banker is about and how they can check that out on Apple TV.
Yeah, so The Banker is currently appearing on Apple TV, and it stars Samuel L. Jackson, Anthony Mackie, Nia Long, Nicholas Hoult. I play the role of Judith White. It's a story that Apple released this March on their streaming platform. The downloads and the numbers have been phenomenal, especially because people are in quarantine. But more importantly, it's a very relevant story, and it takes place based on true events in the 1950s and 60s. To people of color by the name of, you never know what to say anymore.
Yeah, neither do I.
African American people of color by the name of Bernard, Garrett, and Joe Morris, played by Samuel L. Jackson and Anthony Mackie. True story of two African American entrepreneurs who, in the 1950s and 60s, went on to hire a white man, played by Nicholas Hoult. Matt Steiner is the person's name.
Mhm.
And he basically went on to be the face of their burgeoning real estate empire, and was really the way that these two people of color were able to get bank loans in the 1950s and 60s by having a white man be the face of their business. Now, what they did is they trained him. They trained him to know about real estate. They trained him to be able to go out there and play golf and deal with the customers. And it was Bernard Garrett's wife, played Eunice Long, Nia Long, is the actress portraying this character, and she grooms Matt Steiner and turns him into this incredible business person, and they go on to make millions under the guise of a white man being the front of their business. And they made millions, and they bought the Banker building in downtown LA, and eventually they got caught, and federal,
Well, don't give away the ending. Let people watch the movie.
But it's a true story.
I know. Well,
and it takes you down the path of how these two African Americans paved the way for other African Americans to basically live out the American dream in a time where nobody was giving a black man a bank loan.
Yeah. Well, it's very interesting. I'll tell you what's also interesting. This is actually the longest amount of time that Xen and I have been with one another while both of us were sober. I don't think we've ever been together for 90 minutes without having a drop of alcohol.
Great. I'm sure everyone's going, oh, that makes sense.
That's true, unfortunately. But I will tell you this, one of the things that we've been seeing is how this pandemic has changed everything about everyday life. Now with offices telling people, don't bother coming back, work from home forever, you're seeing a tremendous decline in commercial real estate values. You're seeing everything about where people live to their wardrobe is different in this new era that we're living in. One surprising aspect of this, Xen, which we as New Yorkers are used to, but maybe people in suburban America aren't, is food trucks are now changing quite a bit. A fascinating story in the Associated Press that food trucks, which you used to only see in city centers like New York and elsewhere, they're now being saved by the suburbs, that now that the people that are in these suburbs can't depend on bustling city centers. So the food trucks are finding a captive audience thrilled to be able to skip cooking dinner and sample new kinds of cuisines and mingling with neighbors. So food trucks are making the great strides in the suburbs. And I'm curious to see if this is going to be something that's going to be with us for many years, like ice cream trucks were in suburbia for many years, or if this is sort of just a temporary passing fad in the wake of COVID. What do you think?
I feel like COVID has changed the way that we do things, the way that we purchase things, the way that we consider things. And I think it has taught a lot of us to think outside the box. So I'm pretty confident that it's not a passing fad. And I think that if these food trucks make their way into suburbia and are able to cater to a market that wants, and still craves, that kind of food without having to go into the city, then I think that it would be everlasting. But here's my bigger problem. I'm NYC forever. I'm a New York City girl, and I just can't take that I see my city boarded up when I look out the window.
Yeah.
And what I want people to do is not rely on food trucks and not rely on, Uber Eats and Grubhub, but go out to outdoor dining for as long as it's lasting, because
Well,
I'm
and
hearing
for people outside of New York City, they can actually enjoy indoor dining. It's
they
only
yes,
barbarians like us that can't be trusted to dine
to dine
indoors.
indoors. Clearly, we're not capable.
Let me ask you about this, Zen. The president floated, and it's a little controversial, so I'll apologize in advance, but whatever. We tackle the big issues on this show. The president floated in an interview with the New York Post, maybe about 2 weeks ago, the possibility of a pardon for Edward Snowden, the NSA whistleblower who's currently in exile in Russia. And Bill Barr, just moments ago, about 2 or 3 minutes ago, came out and said he would be opposed to a pardon for Edward Snowden. From what you know about the case, what you know about Snowden and kind of the politics and the personalities involved, do you have any take on whether or not there should
I'm not
be a pardon?
extremely familiar with. Oh, I mean, I know of the entire case, and I think there should be a pardon. I don't think that this person is a threat to society. I don't think that his intentions were to create the kind of mayhem that unfolded. And I think that he is an extremely bright individual who I would want on my team.
He is, no question about it. He's quite
and he
smart.
Should be pardoned, and he should be put to good use.
I hate to do it. I have to agree with her, folks. I think if you look at the information that Edward Snowden revealed to the public, I mean, it's stuff that the public should know about, stuff like the NSA violating constitutional rights. And what's the bigger crime? What the NSA did and what the public officials who were lying to Congress about those programs did, or leaking information to the public in this kind of a manner. Now, let me ask you about this as a mom. This is right up your alley. Breaking news as well. Des Moines Public Schools are requesting to start the school year totally online. That request has been denied by the Iowa Department of Education. So this sets up a major showdown in Iowa, and I imagine we're going to see this play out in school districts around the country between the local municipality and the state. As a mom, as a public safety advocate, public health advocate yourself, do you think the kids should be back in school come September, or would you be more comfortable with all remote learning?
I think they should be back to school in September. Remember, I'm talking from the perspective of a mom with a child that is 4.5, but children need to be back in school, in the classroom. They need to be integrated. It's not good for their social and emotional development to be withheld and to be, to be taught in an environment where it's just mom, dad, and them. And for the greater good, I really, truly believe kids need to go back to school with the right protocols, of course, at hand. But I mean, they cannot, this remote learning has to stop. It's absolutely backfiring.
Again, obviously, I'm not a parent, but I have many friends that are, and I know I have a lot of friends that are teachers. Remote learning, I don't think has worked very well, but I think...
Look, listen, if you're in high school, if you're, university, that's different. We're not talking about college students. We're not talking about high schoolers. We're talking about the little...
I think remote television shows work very well. I don't care for these Zoom. I don't care for these Zoom TV shows. All right, coming up next, we'll mix it up with Kevin McCullough and Josh Kravitz to find out their takes on what happened in last night's Democratic National Convention. I'm Frank Morano here with Xen Sams. You're watching Liquid Lunch on Biz TV.